Scary movies! Oh, just kidding around, guys. It's me. Did I get you? Did I scare you a little bit there? Well, if I did, I hope you don't mind filling this out here. Some of my favorite memories while watching movies is that feeling of existential dread as the suspenseful music starts rising up and you're not sure if something might pop out. You know when something's a really good horror when you're done with the movie and you have this perpetual feeling of uneasiness and fear that doesn't leave for a couple of days and you swear to yourself, hey, not going to watch one of those for a few months. Horror movies for adults have endless options to scare the audience in a fun way. Horror movies for children, it's like walking a tightrope. You fall on one side, you run the risk of traumatizing children for the rest of their life. Fall on the other side, potentially worse. You didn't scare kids at all and they laugh at you. I actually know the feeling very well. My mom organized the elementary school haunted house in 5th grade and I was tasked with being a headless girl on a plate. And I remember the feeling of nobody being scared of me. And they just kind of looked at me like they felt bad for me, actually. Disney Channel movies have done a pretty good job walking that tightrope. We got Halloween Town, Twitches, that one episode of Sweet Life and Zack and Cody. You know the one I'm talking about. They did a good job of putting in those spooky, scary themes, but not too crazy that it affected me for the rest of my life. However, Disney Channel has made a lot of stuff, and you can bet your sweet ass that they have fallen off the tightrope a few times on both sides. Phantom at the Megaplex is one of the movies that fell off that tightrope. While doing the very limited research I could do for this movie, because there really wasn't that much information on it, I thought for sure that it was going to be a part of a Disney Channel Halloween marketing campaign. It wasn't. It was released on November 10th. Oh! Why wouldn't they release this in October? Oh, they released My Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire in October. So I'm assuming just scheduling issues. And they were like, let's just release this one a month later and call it. That's kind of how I feel about this video. Phantom at the Megaplex has fallen into obscurity in the Disney Channel original movie lineup and also into my memories. But does that mean it's not worth exploring? No! That's what we do here. We give pieces of obscure children's media a chance here at my YouTube channel. Me acting like this is charity. It's a charitable act I'm doing. Actually.
Phantom of the Megaplex is up next.
Most of the time when you think history, you think boring, right?
So we get some history, some archive stock footage of the original theater that was in this town, and the first film that was played at this theater was Phantom of the Opera.
And the old movie theater bit the dust. Literally.
Apparently a guy was in there and everyone thought he had passed away, but he survived. It kind of morphed into an urban legend in the town that there's this phantom that now haunts a megaplex that was built after the theater that exploded. Has anyone ever called a movie theater a megaplex? Be honest. So that's the lore of this phantom and this urban legend that exists in the Megaplex. Now let's meet the characters, or our list of potential suspects. This is Pete, the Megaplex's assistant manager, and also our main character. Is it unlikely, because he's the main character, that he's also the culprit? Yeah, but everybody's a suspect. Something about Pete is he is the quintessential Disney lead boy.
That's me, Pete Riley. My mom thinks I work way too hard, but she really doesn't get it. I'm the youngest assistant manager they've ever had at this 26-screen Megaplex. Hey, I mean, we're talking some serious responsibility here, right?
What school did Disney actors go to in this time period where they all talked like that? Oh! Something just fell. Phantom is here. He just has that Disney voice. And that's me. You're watching my YouTube video right now, and yeah, it'd be awesome if you could subscribe. Sean McGibbon, general manager of the Megaplex, loves his job, runs that Megaplex like it's the Navy. The Megaplex is extremely important to this man. Mr. Niedermeyer is the owner of the Megaplex. He has sort of an evil aura about him, and Pete gives nicknames to the rest of his co-workers. So we have Ricky Rules, who is a rule follower. Scary Terry, Fits Go Crazy, love that little stripe of pink in her hair, and she's always telling kind of an uneasy, scary story. Most of the stories that she tells ends with death. Okay. Now we have Hillary Honey because she's sweet to everybody. Question mark because he asks a lot of questions. I love his glasses. They're kind of a serve. I think because he asks so many questions, I don't know how capable he would be to doing all of the things the Phantom does, but it's potentially possible for sure. Gracie Lacey. Could he have possibly come up with a worse name? Lacey's just really fast. She runs around when she does things. She's efficient queen. But also, the Phantom needs to be fast. Phantom is kind of everywhere. Someone who's also everywhere, Lacey. Now we have Merle, who is the projection technician. And Merle often talks about how he's not paid enough for his job, he's not respected for his job, and he probably is too qualified for his job to be working there. Lastly, we have Movie Mason. Movie Mason actually doesn't work there, but he's always there. His parents actually owned the original theater that exploded, or now he's saying burned down. And I guess Movie Mason has been thinking he's working at the Megaplex for many years, even though he doesn't have a job there. And I just don't know why they don't give him a job there. So this is our list of potential suspects. Know it, understand it, remember it. Saturday nights at the Megaplex are always crazy. But later that night, there's going to be a Hollywood premiere for a film called Midnight Madness. These part-time working kids are a little bit stressed because they're going to be busy having to run the theater on a Saturday night at the same time having to set up for this Hollywood premiere. My guess is Mr. Niedermeyer didn't want to miss out on the money that could be made on a Saturday night. Something about Sean McGibbon here is he's going to make sure that things run smoothly.
Tonight, as the eyes of the entertainment world fall upon our humble Megaplex, what I want them to see is greatness.
I told you, this man runs this Megaplex like it's a military operation. Sean receives a call from Mr. Niedermeyer. He didn't get the general manager job. Mr. Niedermeyer said, I'm going to give it to my son, who's completely unqualified for the job. Obviously, Sean is devastated, but that man swallows his pride. He says, we're still going to make this the greatest night in our Megaplex's history. He didn't say that, but it gave that energy.
We are professionals, and we will act like professionals on all shows before the premiere this evening.
Pete is framed as a kid who doesn't have much money. He works really hard. He doesn't drive the cool car. Hey, this is the coolest car you could possibly drive. What are we talking about? Pete's last name is Riley. Let's look at the Riley family tree here. We have mom and dad. Dad passed away. I don't know what the percentage is of Disney Channel movies that have a dead parent, but I would assume it's higher than 50%. Dead dad. Mom is dating George. Forgot his name. And the kids really like George. Kind of love that plot line. Pete is the oldest. We have Karen and Brian. Brian and Karen love movies.
Pete, you know how those two are. Bombs could be going off when they're watching a movie and it wouldn't distract them. They're exactly like your father that way.
Karen really wants to see this scary horror movie. I think it's called like University of Death.
Then I can make my friends to see University of Death.
And mom is not letting her go. Brian really wants to see Farmer's Dog, so they come up with a deal. Karen and Brian are going to go see Farmer's Dog tonight, and Pete is going to drive them home after the movie while he's on his break. Pete is eating cereal out of a comically large bowl. And mom is kind of telling him, hey, I don't really like how much you're working. Like, you should be able to enjoy your life. And he's like, money is my life, mom.
Ah, but all work and no play.
It's gonna make me really, really rich. Money!
One of the elements of Scream that this movie sort of has is that meta aspect where it's a movie talking about movies. And Brian kind of serves as the Randy, if you've seen Scream. Randy in Scream talks about movies a lot, and it kind of represents the larger film as it's happening. Brian is also talking about movies, but it doesn't really work because one, he's talking about movies that don't exist, so they kind of just conveniently throw in references.
You sound exactly like the grouchy old dad in Blank Screen. What if it turns into like Waldorf's Revenge? Or what if it's like in Flood? And Judson's Revenge.
So the movies he's talking about don't exist.
This is exactly like an Officer B.
I feel like it would have been more interesting if the quotes and references that were coming up throughout this movie would have been real movies. Instead of that meta vibe that I think maybe they were going for, it kind of just seems like Brian's a kid who would ask for a Letterboxd paid subscription for Christmas, which is cool too.
Heard the latest? Since we're so understaffed, all breaks and dinner hours have been canceled, which is a huge violation of our union contract.
So these teenage part-time employees at the Megaplex are freaking out about how much work they're going to have to do tonight, and they're having to work overtime for this premiere, and they just feel overall unprepared. And Pete loses it at Terry.
I heard once
these kids at this restaurant didn't get their dinner break, and they all started fainting. And then...
Blood, guts, death shark. I mean, come on, Terry. Like, we haven't heard it like 1,000 times.
So it's a little bit uneasy here. Everyone's uneasy. Everyone's a suspect. I'm really curious if employees at movie theaters dressed like this at one point. They kind of have a similar uniform as this in Drake and Josh. I don't remember employees at movie theaters dressing like this. Pete's working hard, sweat coming from his brow, and then he runs into his bully, Donnie.
Looking sharp there, Petey.
Who has so much gel in his hair it can be categorized as a weapon. Puka shell adjacent necklace, that polo, that look. Not a guy you want on your bad side in the year 2000. Pete's crush, Caitlin, is going to be at the premiere tonight. And Donnie's also trying to get Caitlin.
Why does that dog make it so easy for me to rattle his cage? Dude.
The theater needs more help. Half of the team is working on the premiere stuff and the other half is trying to get everyone sorted for their movie that evening. They're feeling so overwhelmed that Movie Mason finally gets put on a bow tie and work the tickets.
Not since I was made head usher at the Solomon Gettle Satin Palace of Burlesque has my heart been filled with such pride.
Very sweet moment. Unfortunately, Movie Mason does start recommending movies and then also deterring people who already paid for their movie and saying, hey, that's a bad movie. It's holding up the line. People are getting pissed off.
Well, I just heard from Mr. Niedermeyer, who says that you are an insurance liability waiting to happen, and he wants you out of here immediately.
We didn't need to kick out Movie Mason. It was kind of sad. Brian and Karen show up and Brian wants some candy. Brian breaks the flap on the candy machine and Donnie approaches Karen and Brian. Why is Donnie keeping tabs on Pete's siblings? Donnie breaks the candy machine. Candy's going everywhere.
What the heck did you do, kid?
You didn't do it, Donnie. You did.
I barely touched it.
This looks like a lawsuit. Feel like they should be worried about that, but it's cool. Pete's kind of a cool guy. He plays hockey with the candy. Seems a little inefficient, but he's an entertainer at heart. Now Karen's kind of pulling the old one too, where she's going to put Brian in the movie theater and she's going to sneak into University of Death with her friends. Meanwhile, Pete's flexing on Caitlin and they're flirting a little bit.
Jacob Johnson's gonna be here?
That's what my sources tell me. I don't mean to brag, but since I'm the assistant manager, I might be able to introduce you to him.
I don't know if I could handle it. How raw would that be?
Raw. Does that mean like awesome?
I didn't know he had so much power around here.
Are you kidding? By the time I'm 18, I'll probably be running this place.
This young man's vocal fry is crazy. Caitlin doesn't even really want to seem to hang out with Donnie, but she is. Not important. What's important is things start getting a little crazy. Popcorn overflowing. Projector breaking. People are pissed. I have this kind of underlying theory about the people in this town, and we'll get to that later.
Fix the projector!
Why does that man look like Matt King? And on top of everything, Sean is missing. So Pete has to take control, and he's doing a great job. And then we have this IRL TikTok commenter.
If I could have your attention, I'm Pete Riley, the assistant manager here.
What do you want, a medal?
Everyone in this theater laughs with their tongue out. I can just tell. I don't know. The people in this town kind of suck. Like, if they're slightly inconvenienced, they act like the worst people alive.
Thanks a lot. Thanks.
This guy is the only one with an ounce of patience in this theater. This guy's just looking for trouble. You ever see a blonde man with this haircut and a blue polo, you run. Just trust me. Brian somehow shows up.
This isn't an accident, you know.
I don't know how he knew to show up to this theater specifically, but he is blaming everything that's happening on the Phantom at the Megaplex. That urban legend we learned about earlier. Honestly, the exposition in the beginning didn't really bring up the Phantom part, so I'm just having to use context clues here.
The candy bin crashing down and now this focus thing?
Like, the candy bin was Donnie. We saw it. What do we mean? Pete isn't really listening because he's trying to problem solve and sends Brian back to watching Farmer's Dog. But on his way, he hears some sinister laughing. Yeah, I don't like that. We're walking that tightrope right now.
I dare you to scream how it felt Dalton at the top of your lungs. Why don't you?
We're not going to get in trouble.
Are you insane? Never. They're able to do anything. My name is Karen Riley, and I love Philadelphia.
How well does she know these people? They're causing a ruckus in this movie theater. Karen leaves the movie theater to go check on Brian. Brian's not there. Ooh. An interesting thing that's happening is the movies that are playing in the Megaplex are kind of representing what's happening in the film. And this is where their attempt at being meta was pretty successful.
Why? Why? I begged you to stay put.
Also, the fact that they filmed these for the movie, I respect it.
It's so crazy. It's like every step we take, somebody's watching us.
People are still mad about the projector. Pete offered them a refund. I don't even know why they're still there. The fandom is just zooming around causing problems. Somehow Brian knows all of the drama that's happening at the theater, and he's decided that he's going to help solve this mystery. Merle's trying to figure out the issue with the projector. Then they follow Pete outside and are heckling him, and Brian finally gets them to settle down.
I know this has been very frustrating, but your movie will be starting over momentarily.
Oh, why didn't you just say so? I feel like they just got tired of it. At that point, they're like, I don't even care anymore.
Who did this to you?
Sean is found tied up in the basement. Okay, things are getting serious.
I came down here to get these ropes. Someone shoved me from behind, held me down, tied my hands, put tape over my mouth before I saw a thing.
Now they're really behind. They have to cook before this premiere to get these things done, so they got to be zooming around. Remember the wind machine? Yeah, so that's causing a big problem in this movie about tornadoes.
It's a tornado!
You see what I mean about the people in this town? Like it's a fan. What's with the drama? It's like these people have never been inconvenienced in their life. On his way to unplug the wind machine, it's a fan, Pete gives a drive-by bitchy comment to Donnie.
Good look on you, Donnie. We stopped it permanently.
Sean believes Movie Mason is the culprit because he kicked him out, and Movie Mason's a little pissed off. And Sean wants him found now. And Movie Mason is suspect number one. His parents originally owned the theater. It burned down or exploded. One of the two. They can't even give him the decency of a job interview. Maybe actually I'm on his team. Brian and Karen are waiting for their mom to pick them up because they haven't really been watching their movies. They've kind of just been running around. So Pete says they gotta go. Pete was originally supposed to drive them, but because everything that's happening at the movie theater, the mom is actually gonna pick them up because she was originally on a date with George. Unfortunately, her car broke down. That's fine because Brian and Karen actually decided that they're going to go to the basement where Movie Mason eats his dinner. That's where they believe they can find him and confront him about being the Phantom. This is where things get a little bit creepy again. So they find themselves in this storage room and Brian discovers a little secret door. Oh. How does nobody know about this? I'm starting to think Sean's actually not a good manager. How do you not know this operation's happening? Brian found it so quickly. So this is Movie Mason's little secret area. Not sure if he lives there. They don't really explore that. But they find a damning piece of evidence.
Hello, children.
Okay, yeah, Movie Mason's giving kind of creepy energy right now, actually.
It's not you, is it? You're not the Phantom of the Megaplex, right?
True wonder is harder to come by. But there's always magic at the movies. To destroy that magic, to shatter those moments, to me is a sin so grave as to be almost incomprehensible.
Movie Mason no longer a suspect. I'm going to keep my eye on him still, but I do believe him. So now the premiere is running late. Donnie won some sword contest and he's demanding that he gets to go to the premiere. He's stressing this man Ricky out so bad.
You'll get your stupid passes, but I can't give them to you tonight.
Then let me stay for the premiere. She gets to stay.
She and Lisa have tickets. We're all booked out. There are no more seats.
I think that this is the moment where Caitlin gets the ick from Donnie. Like the way he's acting is actually so embarrassing.
I want my prize. You'll get your prize tomorrow, but right now you gotta leave.
Make me. Luckily saved by the bell.
I gotta deal with this, Tony. Then, I'll be back to personally toss you out.
There was a fire alarm that went off. All these people are now mad because their hair is wet. I don't know why they're yelling at the employees. We are going to actually have to cross off all of the teenage part-time employees who work at the Megaplex because none of them have a motive. I also don't think that they would sign up to be yelled at by customers, so it's unlikely that it's them. Okay, so now suspect number 1 is actually going to be Merle. Yeah, that actually makes sense. Feels like he's constantly being disrespected. Nobody appreciates him. He needs to be paid more. And Brian's theory is that he wants to be a hero. Brian is so certain that Merle is the Phantom.
Catch this! He's still got that creepy trailer playing down there.
No. Actually, I'm working my buns off trying to shut the darn thing down.
What's the problem? I thought you were mastered all this stuff.
Yeah, it wasn't Merle.
Whoa. Real?
Duh.
Ooh, that sounded really rough. So now Caitlin's running with the crew. She just kind of showed up. There wasn't any discussion about that.
Whoa!
They find Sean now taped up in a closet. And also now someone's in the stall with Terry and Hillary.
Come on, police!
Get the fuck out! Scaring me, Claire. So cool, cops. My mom would so ground me. I didn't even want to stay. I swear, it was all April's idea.
Relax. We're only trying to crash the premiere.
This is the one scene I remember from this movie, and it sometimes comes into my mind when I'm alone in a movie theater bathroom.
Well, if the Phantom's not moving Mason and it's not Merle, then we're running out of suspects.
Niedermeyer arrives. And then balloons filled with water drop on them. People are pissed that the premiere's running late. Luckily, Movie Mason is serenading them outside.
Their name up in lights. Hooray for Hollywood.
I don't know if there was a band or a music box or something going along to his song. Pete and his siblings go to the roof to go look for the missing blow-up promotional dinosaur that's supposed to be used for Midnight Madness. But unfortunately, the Phantom ties them up, and this is very dangerous. Potentially attempted murder. The director of Midnight Madness is giving a speech, and then the missing blow-up dinosaur appears. Attacking everyone? I don't know. I don't know why these people are so helpless. Pete uses the sword.
I got it! Oh, I got it. All right.
Pete.
Thanks, but we still gotta head off the Phantom's finale.
To stab the blow-up dolls and saves the day. Pete and the Phantom get in this weirdly long tussle, and Pete does a Scooby-Doo unmasking of the Phantom. Now, when I first watched this, because I was half watching it while making caramel apples and watching TikTok, I was surprised that he was the Phantom. But I guess now that I've watched the movie more intricately, it's kind of obvious. And I gotta say, Sean's lying capabilities impeccable, because I kind of believed him even when I was watching it the second time. I'm like, he's very believable in his reactions to things happening. And he planned all of this within a span of like a couple of hours. Kind of impressive. So impressive that the director of Midnight Madness is like, hey, I want to make a movie about you, actually. Also, Mom and George have showed up. There was like this whole subplot about they weren't sure if they wanted to get married. They were scared, but then he saw all this happen and is like, actually, I want to propose. I don't have a ring. Movie Mason has a prop ring on him and proposes to her. And then they don't really talk about it. Niedermeyer offers Pete a manager job. And Pete's like, I think I want to have a life. I kind of have a girlfriend now, too.
I'm afraid I have to turn you down.
Excuse me?
I'm sorry. I guess what I figured out tonight is that I need to spend more time having a life. In fact, Mr. Niedermeyer, I'd really like the rest of the night off. I think I deserve it.
Oh, you do you? Good. Because I think so too.
Him and Caitlin talked once the entire movie, so I don't know how this developed. Although this was supposed to be loosely based on Phantom of the Opera, this is more like a Scream movie. It's meta. It's a whodunit. There's a masked figure causing a ruckus, and it's a revenge plot. Does the feeling of Sean being a mask match the feeling of the unmasking in the original Scream movie? But it's a little close. It's close. It's close. Did this movie fall into obscurity for a reason? Probably. Will I ever watch it again? Not by choice. Feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed the video. If you didn't enjoy the video, sorry. Turn on notifications if you want to know the next time that I post. Love you guys so much, and I'm sure we'll talk soon. Bye.